Hey, happy day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday it is, and you are watching Better Center Live. This is Louis Diamond coming to you from our Las Vegas handicapping studios. I am joined today with handicapper extraordinaire, Mr. Ross Benjamin. And good morning to you, Mr. Benjamin. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. Thank you for asking, Louis. I'm a little bit still stuffed from yesterday, but it was a very enjoyable one, and I hope yours was as well.
Mine was fantastic, with the exception of the worst football games in the history of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But we work with what we got. So it wasn't a very big betting day for me on the football field at all. My biggest bets, my action has been in college basketball. Man, oh man, what a slate 2 days ago. Opening night on Wednesday. I had 42 games on my
Wow.
college basketball system. 42
So you got
picks.
you got a system. Why don't you share that with us, Louis? If you think it's not harming your best interest.
Well, it would harm my best interest because I'll be honest, it only takes a couple seconds to figure out who the bet is every day, and I'm
Okay.
not giving it away. So
Yeah,
I
okay.
will tell you that.
Understandable. Let me ask you this then. How have you done thus far? That's more important.
My current record is 28, 14, and 3. So that is
That's great.
a solid 66%. And boom, right out of the gate. Look at that. I mean, 28, 14, and 3. What's that? 42,
45.
45, 52, 55 games. I don't know, a lot of games.
Yeah,
So is that right?
45 games. So, yeah,
45 games. So
yeah.
so actually I'm going to tell you that's a little bit wrong. I'm going to have to go back and look at it because yesterday I was 3-3. So the first
Okay.
day we had a fantastic day. So, but if you go to the Better Center on the Facebook, let me see if I get that right. Better Center. Look for that at Facebook. You'll see my name. Here's all of today's picks. I think there's 14 of them today. So a lot of plays out there. And not only that, we got the angle of the day, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But there's our college basketball action, guys. So a lot of games out there for you today for college baskets. I'll read them off to you real quick. No, I won't. Go to thebettercenter.com. There's a lot of games. So, but it's a pretty simple system. It's something
Yeah.
I've been using since the 90s. The 90s,
Okay.
Ross.
Well, if
And
it's not broke, don't fix it, Louis,
you know what? Some seasons it's broke, but you're out real
Yeah.
fast. You know,
Yeah.
if it was broke yesterday, boy oh boy, you know, right out of the gate, or I mean on Wednesday. Now it's not like I made 42 huge bets on Wednesday. I'm
Yeah.
testing the system out. I got a real sample size, and the sample size says roll with it.
Yeah.
Yesterday was 3-3. A lot of
Okay.
plays
Well, I
out there
mean,
for you today.
you could live with a 3-3, right? So I mean, especially if you had a winning day the day before. It's all about the big picture. You're going to have bad weeks. You're going to have bad days. That just stands to reason, and that's what people have to understand out there, because it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I think if there's one flaw in my clients I've had over the years is you don't get off to a good start, or you have a couple bad days and ready to jump ship, and you're never going to win that way. As
Yep.
far as my college basketball goes, I'm not quite the volume better as Louis is, and that's okay. What works for me might not work for him. But I did have on Wednesday, I did have San Diego State at bettercenter.com. I hit San Diego State plus the 3 as a 10-star top play, which is my highest rated selection. And they knocked off nationally ranked UCLA, and they beat them handily by 15 points. Tonight, I have another college basketball 10-star top play at bettercenter.com. It comes in the game between Eastern Illinois and Marquette. And in case you're wondering, that game will be televised on Fox Sports 2. I have the winning total in that game. And my college basketball 10-star top plays dating back to last year, Louis, 51 and 31. good for 62% over my last 82. That's all documented and monitored by an independent source. So sports capping, that is. So there you have it. I mean, college basketball is in full flight, folks. It's not all about football right now, even though that still is our main focus. But college, you're getting a lot of options in college basketball. When you get guys like us, the more options we get, the better chance and the better value we could find.
No doubt. And about my little college basketball system, many seasons over the past 30 years, it has clipped at a 60% rate, and it's been documented on quite a few different sites. So it's a nice winning system, and very rarely has it the bottom ever dropped out where you absolutely got crushed. But you get a lot of games. So if you bet a lot of games with this system and you have that bad day, bam, you can get
Especially
crushed.
if it
So
happens right off the bat. That's the difficult part of it. And
yeah,
again, here's another major fault that I've seen over the years. I know when I go on a torrid stretch, um, sales steadily improve. And then at one point, if you're on that end of a real hot stretch, it seems like all sales start piling in. And then you have that one bad day.
that's it.
And unfortunately, somebody missed all your good streak, jumped in at the wrong time, and then they have a bad day. You really have to be careful and really have good money management if you're going to deal with Louis, because if he's giving you that volume of plays, money management's a key. You don't want to get off to a bad day right off the start and be done. So, my advice has always been you should never exceed 3 to 5% of your entire gambling bankroll. Now, what your gambling bankroll is, we can't tell you. That has to be defined by you. But I will say this, and I'm not trying to be your parent or I'm not trying to be your long lost uncle here. Gambling bankroll should be defined as if you were to lose every single penny of what you had, it's not going to change your quality of life tomorrow. It doesn't include taking away from your bill money. It doesn't include taking out of your kids' tuition money for college. So money management's a big key if you're going to play a big volume of plays.
Uh, couldn't agree with you anymore, right, with that, Ross, because at the end of the day, guys are saying, they say, oh, if you're so good, how come you're not betting $1 million a game?
Yeah.
Well, it does. It's a silly statement. At the end of the day, it is all about managing. It's about, like you said, you know what? If everything blew up today and I had the worst day of my life and I went 0-42, I'm still going to be around tomorrow. It's still going to happen, God willing. So as far as me betting, long as I'm alive, I'm still going to be in action because I keep it relative. Gambling is all relative. Has nothing to do with anybody else. It's all relative to what you can afford to do. And you got these apps right now, they take 10-cent wagers. 10-cent wagers, guys. So there's ways to learn how to gamble very inexpensively. And that is my recommendation. And that's why I got hooked into betting a lot of games, because I had the data, I'd follow the data, and I would look for value. That's all. If there was value, I wanted a piece of it. Okay. Now, if I felt there was more value, I went in a little bit harder. So, and now you get to see a sample size. Now you're following every game. You're following every score. You're following the ups and downs of the games. You're catching the momentums. The momentums are coming into your head when you see that next game come out. A lot of stuff, guys. It's not an easy thing, but you got to kind of be hooked in intravenously into the system. So, all right. So, Ross, all that being said, I got a lot of basketball out there for everybody on the Bettor Center the Bettor Center Facebook. So if you go out to bettorcenter.com Facebook page, you'll get my college basketball plays. They're free. There's just too many to be selling, guys. It's a big system, and it's going to run for a couple months. College basketball is free for now until we see how well it's doing. But actually, if there's going to be that many plays every day, I can't really sell it unless I sell the whole package. We'll worry about it after it starts winning. Get out there. Make some money with that. BettorCenter.com on Facebook. Join us, YouTube, Louis Diamond, YouTube.com/Louis Diamond. That'll get you us live when we come up with these games. Speaking of games, we got some football here today, Ross. So let's go right to it, and let's see what we got here today. We got, we'll start game number 1 on our schedule, I believe, is going to be the Southern Miss and UAB game. Now, Southern Miss or UAB opens up 17. They get some steam. They're up to 20, and the under gets some steam from 51 down to 47.5. So it looks like UAB and under is a steam. What are your thoughts, Ross?
Yeah, UAB is no doubt the superior team in this matchup, and Southern Miss is having a terrible year, to say the least. Not a game I'm willing to use, but I wouldn't disagree with where you're going with that, Louis.
All right. So, yeah, I don't have much on it. Usually UAB, I like to play in an over scenario, but I really honestly don't
Actually,
have.
Louis, excuse me. That game has been postponed, by the way. It was a
That's why I'm not
12:30
playing it.
start. It was COVID-19 issues there.
Okay. I thought that, all right, that's my bad. My bad. You know what I didn't add? Okay. All right. So let's get to the next game, Nebraska and Iowa. And actually, that is our angle of the day. And Iowa, 14-point favorite, now down to like 13. And Nebraska total is 53.5. And Ross, I will read this angle here and that you gave us. And let me know if you have any opinion on the game. I do have an opinion, and it happens to go in with the angle here today. The angle right now is 6-2 for us on these plays. So this angle today is any college football favorite of 30 or less, which is Iowa, coming off 3 straight wins by 17 or more points, versus an opponent with a win percentage off of 100 or better, which is Nebraska, and is coming off a loss by 17 points or more, resulted in those favorites going 28-6 since 2011. 82.3%, Ross. I'm an Iowa fan here today. I think they're the right play, and I got them under 2 touchdowns, laying 13. I'm rolling with Iowa today. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, again, folks, when I provide these betting angles for the show, it's I do those well ahead of time, and that's without looking at anything else. I do a lot of checks and balances. So if I go beyond, that's an indicator. If I get a good college football betting angle like this one, I will look at, okay, why should I use Iowa beyond that? Well, when I did my checks and balances, I'm not so sure that's the play. Again, I don't have a play in this game. I'm going to stay away from it because what I'm looking at is conflicting info against that angle. I'm especially a little bit alarmed with the fact that this line has now gone down to as low as 11.5 at bookmaker and 12.5 at other spots. Yet Iowa is getting the majority of volume of bets, and the most money has gone on Iowa in this matchup, which leads me to believe there's a bit of reverse line movement here, which usually indicates sharp money. So when I see conflicting info like that, all I could do is wish Louis good luck, and I hope he wins because I'm not using the game.
Well, I can see why. You have, I guess, some worries about it. Personally, Nebraska 3-10 in the conference, 3-10 their last 13 games overall, 2-7 following an ATS loss, 1-7 versus a team with a winning record. 2 teams that seem to just be going in an opposite direction for me. And even though Iowa,
those are all numbers for Nebraska, right? You're referring to?
Yes, those are Nebraska numbers. The road team has covered.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and I just feel that this is a spot for Iowa to listen. Iowa, the road favorite, we know that's the spot to take them in, and as the home favorite, especially laying double digits, not that well. I don't. You may have that number. I don't have that number, but I think Nebraska, they kind of showed what they what they were really about last week when they get crushed by Illinois. Will they bounce back after something like that? I don't think so. I think you got two teams going the wrong direction. So I'm still going to roll with my Iowa here today. The points are strong, but and like you said, they're getting better for me, which does it smells, no doubt about that. But I'll still roll with them. So.
Yeah, and Nebraska can't decide who they're using at quarterback either. Either the freshman McCaffrey or the senior Adrian Martinez, who seem to have regressed since his freshman year. And you know what John Madden said: when you have two quarterbacks, you don't really have one. So a little bit of instability there for Nebraska. And yeah, you know what, Louis, you're right. I mean, you look at Nebraska last week, a 17-point home favorite against an Illinois program that's really struggled in recent years. Yes, they did come off a decent season last year by their standards, but to get blown out at home as a 17-point home favorite really casts some doubt, and the reason why I stayed away from this game.
Yeah, the zigzag makes sense. This should be the spot for Nebraska. I mean, they had the big lead on Penn State, and they almost blew that one, and Penn State's pretty bad. So, and Nebraska's been a pretty weak team.
Yeah, and in that Penn State win, Louis, they gave up 501 yards to Penn State, and they were outgained by well over 200 yards. So that's a little bit of fool's gold if you look at that win by Nebraska.
Well, hopefully Iowa will just bring their A game today and do what they're supposed to do. But a lot of professionals are the money. I don't know if they're. I guess it would probably be the professionals. Most of the money is on one side.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's a sure winner.
The other way. I mean, sharp money's going on the other side. So
that doesn't mean it's a sure winner either.
Not at all. Sharp money doesn't scare me at all.
Yeah, it's just an indicator.
You have to follow sharp money every single time for you to have a grasp on it.
It's never that easy.
Yeah. You can't just pick and choose what time you want to look at the sharp money. It doesn't work that way. You got to have it all the time. So, all right. So next game on our schedule is a game I think is going to be a high-scoring affair, and the total says so because the total's 70, but the bettors say no because it's down to 68.5, and that's Central Florida. They are at South Florida. Game has been a solid 25, a touch on the under. I definitely have a little love for the over, as both teams have a short history of playing over this season. And if this is where they're both playing, the history they're both playing, I have to believe that will continue here today. And you have any thoughts on this side or total, UCF, USF?
Yeah, no, I don't, me, Louis, I don't like the big numbers. I'm not one of those guys, and God bless people who are, and they do well with them, but I'm not one of those guys. And, a little bit concerning with Central Florida coming off that big loss against Cincinnati in their last game. A lot of emotion was spent there. And they now have 3 losses on the season, and they're pretty much out of contention for a conference title. And South Florida has shown a little bit of improvement lately. But, on paper, Central Florida is definitely the better team. But again, the better team you're asking the better team to cover a big number off an emotional loss. So not a game I'm willing to dabble into, Louis.
All right. Next game on the schedule. Maybe a little bit more of an exciting game. We got Notre Dame laying 6 points on the road to North Carolina. And I think that line probably has a little bit of movement as well. And North Carolina brings a running game against Notre Dame defense that likes to stop the running game. So this looks to be like a pretty interesting matchup. I'm having a tough time biting on either of this. I want to play a little Notre Dame because if they're able to stop that run game, I'm not sure North Carolina's going to be able to hang with them. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you look at this and you see North Carolina's allowed more than 40 points on average in their last 3 games alone. All year long, they have not been good defensively, but they've been extremely explosive offensively. And I think what people lose sight of the fact of this is a North Carolina team that's now ranked in the top 25. They were in the top 10 in the preseason polls. That terrible loss at Florida State lost a lot of respect from the pollsters when that occurred. And but they're 6-2, and their two losses have come to Florida State 31-28 and at Virginia 44-41. So with a little bit of luck, Louis, this team could be 8-0 as well. And we'd be talking about this in terms of the ACC game of the year kind of thing going into this week. But that's not the case. My concern, again, with Notre Dame is the strength of schedule they played thus far. With the exception of Clemson, they really haven't played anybody that knocks your socks off. I guess you could say the same thing for North Carolina. This game scares me, Lou. If you're a Notre Dame fan, I think here's the thing: Notre Dame, if they lose this game, but then win their last two against Syracuse and Wake Forest, which they'll be prohibited favorites in. They're still going to be in the ACC title game against Clemson. And if they beat Clemson, they're going to be in a 4-team playoff. My point being is they have a little room for error in this game, where this game for North Carolina hosting the number 2 team in the country is going to be huge. So in terms of emotion, I'm a little bit leery here of using the Fighting Irish on the road. And I'm also not one who likes to side with the heavy action I've seen by the general public in terms of volume of bets and money bet in this game, which is a good reason why this line has moved. So, again, this is not a game I'm going to use today, but it's one I'm going to be highly interested in watching.
Ross, I'm going to come up with a pick just based upon what you said right there. Because I appreciated what you said and the fact that this is a very, very big game for North Carolina, where maybe not so much for Notre Dame, but yet Notre Dame's still undefeated. They still need – I don't even know if the undefeated mark means anything if they still have to go in and play Clemson. So,
Yep.
Because they're going to have the one loss, but they'll have the one, and the loss against Clemson. So, at the end of the day, North Carolina, if you're believing that this is their spot at home, this is kind of an angle that I will look at. When you find that underdog at home having their big Super Bowl moment, what you want to at least do is bet them in the first quarter, because usually they're sky high and they're the underdog, but they're at home and they can go in and keep that game tight early. So usually you want a bigger underdog than something like this, but possibly North Carolina first quarter play. That's my thought.
Yeah, makes sense. And the other thing is, I like to say, when you get an underdog with a puncher's chance, Louis, and what I mean by that is I'm using a boxing analogy there, is that guy who's lost the first 8 rounds but can throw a haymaker in the 9th and change things quickly. Well, I use that analogy when I'm looking at an underdog, especially a home underdog, that is an explosive offense. You're never out of it. And this is no doubt an explosive offense for North Carolina. After 8 games, they're averaging 43.1 points scored per contest and 563 yards per contest. Now, having said that, I'm not so sure. And matter of fact, I'll go out on a limb if I'm doing so at that and say that they have not faced a defense the caliber of Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish only allowing less than 17 points per contest and a little over 300 yards per game. A lot of interesting tidbits to look at when handicapping this game, and even more so if you're going to view this game. Like I said, Louis, sometimes there are games that I don't use, but I'm still highly interested in watching because I know there's bigger things to come on this team's schedule going forward, and that applies to both teams.
Absolutely. And that applies to all handicapping pretty much. And that's why I say, if you can play $10 round or 10-cent round robins all day long to keep your yourself in tune to make yourself a better capper, to hone your craft, so to speak, that's where I recommend it. It's tough to stay in tune when you don't have at least 10 cents on it, because it's easy to, get sidetracked with something else in life. So, all right, one more game before we get to our most interesting play of the day. And maybe this will be it. I don't know. But Oregon and the Ducks are playing the Beavers. 13.5-point road favorite for Oregon. And the total is 64. So big rivalry. And usually I'm always looking for the underdog in the rivalry. I don't know if the dog's going to have the bark in this one this week. What about you?
I have a strong opinion on this game, and that's why it's up for sale right now at bettorcenter.com. I have a 5-star ATS winning side in the Oregon State game. Yeah, big rivalry here. It's a series that Oregon has dominated to the nth degree in recent years, but Oregon State's managed to get inside the number on a few occasions. I will say this: Oregon is every bit the number 9 team in the country. My only concern with them would be on the defensive side of the ball. In their 3-0 start, they've allowed 432 yards per game. And this looks to be an Oregon State team that's vastly improved to the recent additions we've seen over the last decade. It's just a matter of, can they get enough stops against an Oregon explosive offense? So, again, folks, you can get my winning play on this game. I have it right now, 5-star ATS winning side up at bettorcenter.com, and it comes in this game, I should say, between Oregon and Oregon State. 7:30 p.m. Eastern time kickoff. A lot of time to get in on this game. Just go to bettorcenter.com.
All right, there you go, fellas. If you're looking for a solid winner, if you want to know if a duck can beat a beaver or if the beaver beats the duck, Ross has the answer for you there today. So jump on out to bettorcenter.com. Chip Chirimbus is there today with a full slate of action for you as well. Get you some solid winners at some reasonable prices to make sure you enjoy the big turkey shootout winner. So, Ross, now I guess it's time for our most interesting play of the day. We got a full weekend of stuff. You got anything you want to leave us with here this weekend to cash a ticket?
Well, I mean, I guess if I was going to make a most interesting play of the day today, I would look at the total in the UCF and South Florida game. I mean, again, leaving out the game I'm selling today. If I had to make a second best choice in this game, I'd look at the over in this UCF and South Florida game. South Florida has shown some improvement offensively. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Central Florida. I think Central Florida is going to score in the high 40s to 50s in this game, and I think you're looking at a South Florida team that should be able to put up at least 21 points minimum. So I would have a lean here as my most interesting play today on going over 68.5 in the UCF and South Florida game.
All right. As you know, I will agree with you there. And I will leave you with my most interesting play. It's something I handicapped on the show right here in front of you with a first quarter play on the Tar Heels of North Carolina versus Notre Dame. I think what Ross said, what Ross had to say about the game sold me. So I'm going to hang up with you guys right now, and I'm going to make a little play on the first quarter with North Carolina over Notre Dame. And if you're looking for some college basketball action, I'm going to be posting all my college basketball plays out at bettorcenter.com Facebook page, not the bettorcenter.com page. On Facebook, go to bettorcenter.com. I got a bunch of college basketball out there for you today, and I'll be rolling with them every day out there. And full disclosure, in full transparency, get the winners before they win, guys. I got them for you. It's a nice system. So hopefully take advantage of that. You text free winner to 90210. I'll get you a nice solid play through the weekend and make you a little bit more money. And don't forget Ross and Chip and actually Tony Gullidge got some plays out there. Tony Gullidge as a bookie buster on bettorcenter.com. Ross has a couple nice picks out there, as he told you, and Chip has a full slate for you as well. This is Louis Dime. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Pacific time, with Tony Gullidge and myself, and a special guest. Chumley will be with us tomorrow to go over some Big Ten action. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you again here tomorrow on Bettor Center Live.